Behind one of the most ordinary doors in your home, tucked away in the quiet hum of your kitchen, there lies one of the most underestimated energetic mirrors of your life, your refrigerator. It doesn't speak, but it reflects. Not just your taste in food or your weekly routine, but your relationship with nourishment, with money, and with mental flow. Every forgotten container, every leftover from 2 weeks ago, every sticky shelf and unsealed packet is sending a silent signal. Not to your guests, to your life. You see, in Feng Shui, the kitchen is not just where meals begin. It's where your financial vitality is stored and either supported or silently sabotaged. And the fridge? It's the cold vault that holds it all. When this vault is chaotic, blocked, or energetically confused, its effects ripple into areas most people never connect. Fatigue, brain fog, declining health, impulsive decisions, and money that seems to disappear as quickly as it arrives. This isn't about superstition. This is structure. Energy doesn't care about your beliefs. It responds to your setup. A disorganized fridge isn't just unsightly. It's a leak, dripping vitality, financial chi, and energetic focus away from the very life you're trying to build. Now pause for a second and ask yourself, not from fear, but from clarity, what does your fridge look like right now? Is it overstuffed? Are there things inside that you haven't touched in weeks, maybe months? Is there a drawer you're afraid to open because you're not even sure what's in there? That drawer, that unopened shelf, that expired yogurt in the back, they all symbolize the same thing, unresolved energy. When your fridge becomes a place of neglect, you unconsciously teach your home to hold decay. When your food lacks order, your finances follow suit. When you forget what you've stored, the universe mirrors that forgetfulness with lost opportunities. But when you transform that space, even with small, conscious adjustments, you send a message that you are ready to receive, hold, and grow abundance. Not just in your body, but in your life. In today's video on New Day Mindfulness, we're not going to talk about expensive renovations or perfectionism. We're going to talk about awareness, about small actions with big impact. You'll learn how to shift your fridge from a cold, stagnant zone into a living vault of health, focus, and wealth alignment. We'll break down the biggest mistakes people make without realizing it, and the subtle but powerful rituals you can apply to rewire your energetic flow using what you already have. I'll also show you the most strategic placements, materials, and habits that invite prosperity instead of block it. This is not about buying new containers or stocking organic kale for the sake of aesthetics. This is about understanding why your space reflects your state and how to change your space so your state begins to rise. Stay with me, because in just a moment, we'll open the door, literally and energetically, and look at how what's inside that fridge may be setting the tone for more than just your meals. It may be influencing your sleep, your mental focus, your motivation, and yes, your financial patterns. Before we dive into the full breakdown, I'd love to ask for a small, energetic exchange. If this kind of content helps you reflect more deeply on your space, your habits, and your energy, please help me grow this message. One like, one share, or one subscribe brings us closer to our next goal of 2,000 followers. That simple action allows me to keep researching, scripting, and sharing more grounded, high-quality Feng Shui wisdom with you. And in the spirit of energy flow, what you give is never lost. It circulates, it returns, and it lifts the field for everyone involved. So let's open the fridge door, not with judgment, but with awareness, because within that cold compartment may lie the warmth, order, and alignment your life has been waiting for. And the changes you make in there today might just change everything outside of it tomorrow. Why the fridge represents your wealth in Feng Shui. In the deeper logic of classical Feng Shui, the refrigerator is not simply an appliance. It is a symbolic container of your wealth, a cold metallic vault that directly reflects how you receive, store, and preserve abundance in your daily life. It's easy to dismiss this notion at first glance. After all, the refrigerator seems like one of the most utilitarian items in any household. It hums quietly in the background, often unnoticed unless we're opening it to grab a drink or put away groceries. But to the trained eye and energetically attuned perspective, the fridge is as much about fortune as it is about food. It doesn't just hold nourishment, it mirrors how you manage your internal resources, how you hold your vitality, and how you engage with cycles of consumption, preservation, and waste. Just like a bank vault protects assets, the refrigerator protects the items that sustain life. And if the bank vault is cracked, cluttered, or carelessly maintained, what do you think happens to the energy of the assets inside? Let's break it down with precision. In Feng Shui, the kitchen as a whole is often considered the wealth-generating zone, not just because of its association with food preparation, but because it represents the act of converting raw resources into sustaining energy. It is where fire meets substance, where transformation happens. And within that system, the refrigerator is the stronghold of preservation, the cool, controlled environment that sustains the food you don't immediately consume. It bridges the now and the later. It stores potential. And if that potential is rotting, unkempt, or forgotten, then so too is the message you are sending to the energy around you. I am not actively managing the resources I have. That's not just bad housekeeping. That's a structural signal of energetic disorder. Symbolically, the different sections of the refrigerator correspond to different levels of qi or life force flow. The bottom drawers, often used for fruits and vegetables, represent foundational energy, what roots you, what grounds your body, and what stabilizes your systems. If these drawers are jammed with limp produce, crumpled packaging, or moldy greens, the energetic interpretation is clear. Your foundation is being neglected. Imagine the same happening in your finances, letting the roots of your income rot, forgetting your recurring subscriptions, ignoring your monthly budget. The pattern is the same. Your foundational qi is signaling decay rather than strength. The middle shelves, which hold the bulk of your everyday groceries, leftovers, staples, containers of soup, rice, protein, or dairy, these represent the active flow of nourishment. They mirror how your wealth moves through your life. Is it processed efficiently, stored with care, labeled with clarity? Or is it a mixture of forgotten items, expired products, and containers with uncertain contents? If the middle zone of your refrigerator is a mess, it is reflecting that your energetic flow, your day-to-day engagement with resources, is tangled, uncertain, and lacking visibility. In energetic terms, this creates confusion and delay. When food can't be easily seen, qi can't move with ease. And when qi can't move, fortune slows, health stagnates, and your momentum gets caught in cycles of repetition instead of evolution. Then comes the top shelf or the eye-level space, which in Feng Shui is particularly important because it aligns with your most frequent interaction, what you see every time you open the door. This shelf is the face of your stored qi. It represents visibility, clarity, and readiness. Items placed here are the most accessible and the most psychologically potent. If this shelf is cluttered, chaotic, or dominated by sugary drinks, processed snacks, or disorganized packaging, you're reinforcing a daily message to your subconscious. I interact most often with energy that is disordered, unclear, and impulsive. If instead this shelf contains items that nourish, replenish, and energize, clear jars of fresh soup, vibrant leftovers, intentionally placed ingredients, your subconscious receives a different signal entirely. I access what sustains me. I see abundance clearly. I reach for clarity. These seemingly mundane food decisions become energetic declarations about how you meet your life. The interior door shelves, often used for condiments and quick grab items, are also worth examining. These hold the subtleties of your energetic field. Too many expired sauces, sticky bottles, or outdated containers act as energetic static. They're easy to ignore, but they create visual and symbolic noise. They represent the energy of things once useful that no longer serve. If these accumulate unchecked, they begin to crowd out the space for new opportunities. This is why clearing them regularly, wiping them down, removing what's expired, and minimizing unnecessary repetition is a direct act of energetic cleansing. You're not just tidying up ketchup packets, you're making room for fresh flow. Even the color palette and lighting inside your fridge matter more than you think. Harsh, fluorescent lighting exaggerates the perception of disorder, while soft, diffused light highlights color and freshness. A fridge filled with items in varying shades of dull plastic, wrinkled packaging, or heavy styrofoam gives off a frequency of chaos. On the other hand, using clear containers, natural materials like glass or bamboo, and color-coded organization supports mental clarity and energetic integrity. Remember, energy follows attention. If your attention is met with confusion every time you open the fridge, your energy adapts accordingly, becoming scattered, rushed, reactive. But if your attention is met with order, simplicity, and freshness, your internal rhythm adjusts to match. Another aspect often overlooked is how frequently you engage with your fridge unconsciously, how often you open it without intention, not to feed your body, but to fill an emotional gap. This pattern is not just a psychological habit, it's also an energetic one. The refrigerator becomes a substitute for stillness, for decision-making, for forward movement. When you treat the fridge like a distraction, it becomes a symbol of resistance. That's why Feng Shui encourages mindful engagement with food storage, not as a moral lesson, but as a tool of energetic focus. When you open the door with intention, retrieve what you need, and then close it with respect, you are reinforcing the structure of functional energy. You are telling life, I know what I need, I respect what I receive, I move in alignment. The outer surface of the fridge, too, carries symbolic weight. If it's covered with unrelated reminders, bills, expired calendars, or visual clutter, it diffuses the energetic coherence of the kitchen. In Feng Shui, visual input matters. What your eyes rest upon becomes the template for your energy. A fridge covered with stress-inducing paperwork is like storing anxiety on your wealth vault. Would you tape overdue notices to the outside of your bank account? Then why do it to your fridge? Clean surfaces signal readiness. Simplicity invites flow. In summary, the refrigerator is more than a cooling box. It is a central energetic hub, a vault of vitality, and a symbolic declaration of how you hold the energy of wealth in your life. When its contents are chaotic, forgotten, or rotting, it reflects an inability to hold and sustain fortune. When it is clean, clear, well-organized, and actively cared for, it becomes a silent engine that supports growth, balance, and prosperity. Just like your financial accounts, your food storage needs reviewing, maintenance, and intention. The message is clear. How you store your nourishment is how you hold your wealth. And when you shift the energy of your fridge, you shift the vibration of your entire household. From the bottom drawer to the top shelf, everything has a frequency. And when every shelf speaks of readiness, clarity, and life, so too will your reality begin to reflect the same. Because in Feng Shui, energy doesn't guess, it listens. And your fridge is speaking every time you open that door. Hidden energy blocks inside your fridge. In the world of Feng Shui, where every structure, surface, and silence within your home either encourages or hinders the flow of life force, qi, there is no such thing as a neutral object or forgotten space. This is especially true inside your refrigerator, a compartment that most people open multiple times a day without a second thought, yet which quietly influences their energy field with surprising magnitude. Hidden within the walls of this cold, humming appliance are patterns that mirror how you relate to nourishment, wealth, and energetic momentum. When mismanaged, these patterns create silent blockages that disrupt not only your physical health, but also your emotional rhythm and financial trajectory. This isn't theory, it's energetic physics. Qi requires space to circulate, clarity to align, and freshness to thrive. When your refrigerator violates these conditions, it becomes a container of cold stagnation, subtly transmitting frequencies of delay, depletion, and disorder into every aspect of your daily life. Let's begin with one of the most common misinterpretations: the belief that a full refrigerator signifies abundance. It's a comforting image: drawers packed with produce, shelves lined with containers, multiple options waiting to be chosen. In theory, it should feel like a symbol of security, but in Feng Shui, abundance is not about accumulation, it's about flow. A fridge that is overfilled with no visual space between items, no access to the back, and no breathing room for air or energy circulation creates the exact opposite of nourishment. It compresses qi, it forces stillness, and in the language of energy, Stillness without intention becomes stagnation. When food is jammed tightly on every shelf, containers are stacked without order, and nothing can be seen without moving for other things, your subconscious registers overwhelm. And that internal overwhelm reflects externally. Your thoughts get tangled, decisions slow down, clarity fades, and you may find yourself making choices that are more reactive than responsive. In practical terms, food spoils faster, items get forgotten, and meals become less intentional. But on a symbolic level, an overstuffed fridge is telling the universe, I am holding on to too much. I don't trust the flow. I must stockpile because I don't believe the more will come. That vibration contracts possibility. To shift this, aim to keep your refrigerator between 65 to 75% full. This isn't about minimalism, it's about circulation. Leave space between items, especially on each shelf, to allow the eye to rest and the energy to breathe. That empty space is not waste, it is permission. It is a declaration that you are capable of receiving, organizing, and using what you already have, and therefore ready for more. Next, we turn to the presence of expired, forgotten, or spoiled food, arguably the most energetically toxic element in any fridge. At first glance, an old yogurt cup, a forgotten container of rice, or a rotting zucchini might seem like small oversights. But in Feng Shui, they represent heavy symbolic weight. Spoiled food equals decaying qi. It doesn't just carry a bad smell, it radiates the energy of neglect, delay, and emotional dead weight. Every time you open the fridge and unconsciously pass over that item you know you should throw away but haven't, you reinforce a loop of inaction. You absorb the message, I can't let go, I'll deal with it later. And that message doesn't stay inside the refrigerator. It bleeds into your schedule, your goals, your relationships. You begin to carry that same hesitancy in how you make decisions, how you spend money, and how you release what no longer serves you. In traditional energetic thought, expired food is also symbolic of expired karma, past efforts, intentions, or relationships that were once nourishing but have since lost their power. Keeping them cold but present is a way of clinging to what's already energetically concluded. The remedy is both simple and sacred. Schedule regular cleanouts aligned with natural energy transitions, such as the full moon, the start of a new season, or the beginning of each month. Not just for hygiene, but as a ritual of energetic release. Light a candle nearby, play soft, cleansing music, and as you discard what's no longer alive, do it with a mindset of gratitude. Thank you for what you offered. I release you now to make room for what's next. This elevates the act from chore to choice, from maintenance to mastery. And then there is the issue of smell. Of all the senses, scent is the most directly linked to memory and emotion. In Feng Shui, it's also considered a powerful carrier of subtle qi. When you open your fridge and are hit with a sharp, sour, or musty smell, your body has an immediate visceral reaction. You recoil, breathe shallowly, tighten your muscles. That physical response becomes energetic contraction. It's your body's way of protecting you from stagnation. Even if the fridge is clean on the surface, a foul or muddled smell indicates hidden decay, trapped moisture, unbalanced elements, or items quietly breaking down behind containers. These smells don't just impact appetite, they cloud judgment. They subtly lower the vibrational field of your kitchen, which then affects the quality of meals you prepare and the state of mind in which you eat them. The energetic countermeasure to scent stagnation is the strategic use of absorptive and cleansing agents. Place a small open bowl of dry sea salt or activated charcoal on the central shelf. Both materials are known in Feng Shui for their ability to neutralize negative energy and absorb unwanted vibrations. Refresh them weekly. For enhanced effect, add a few drops of essential oils like lemongrass, cinnamon, or bitter orange peel to a cloth and gently wipe the interior surfaces during your regular cleanings. These scents are uplifting, energizing, and symbolically aligned with purification and prosperity. Together, these three blocks, overcrowding, spoilage, and scent stagnation, create what Feng Shui practitioners refer to as energetic drag. It's not visible chaos, but subtle resistance. It causes your home to feel heavier, your motivation to weaken, and your connection to clarity to diminish. And because the fridge is a cold, yin-dominant space by nature, it needs conscious management to prevent that yin from becoming overly dense. When neglected, this results in a slow, creeping inertia that affects not just your body, but your finances, your productivity, and your emotional resilience. Energetic drag is a silent saboteur. You may still be doing all the right things, waking up on time, eating healthy, meditating, managing your budget, but if the core symbols of your home are misaligned, your efforts leak power. It's like filling a cracked vessel. The results don't hold. That's why Feng Shui doesn't start with the abstract. It starts with what you touch, what you see, what you forget. And the refrigerator, so frequently used yet so infrequently honored, becomes one of the most overlooked altars of your life's flow. By shifting its structure, you begin to shift your state. So let the air circulate. Let go of the expired. Clean what's hidden. Remove what offends your senses. Leave space between your stored potential. And as you do, you are not just maintaining an appliance. You are clearing the path through which vitality, clarity, and prosperity can return. Because Qi doesn't care about your intentions if your environment says otherwise. It moves through the spaces you shape. And when you shape them with awareness, even the coldest corner of your home becomes a quiet source of light. Energetic design flaws. Around the fridge. When we step deeper into the energetic anatomy of the kitchen, we begin to understand that it's not just what's inside the refrigerator that carries weight. It's also the design details, overlooked surfaces, and subtle cues surrounding it. In classical Feng Shui, form creates function, and structure either invites or resists the movement of Qi. This becomes especially critical around the fridge, which is more than a cold storage box. It is, as previously established, the symbolic vault of nourishment and, by extension, of your household's wealth reservoir. But when the external design around this vault is disordered, blocked, or poorly maintained, even a perfectly clean interior can't fully express its energetic potential. The reality is, your refrigerator communicates with your subconscious every time you walk into the kitchen. And what it says depends not only on what's stored inside, but also on what's seen, ignored, or unconsciously accepted around it. Let's begin with the fridge surface. At first, it may seem harmless, even endearing, to use the face of your fridge as a kind of bulletin board. Most modern households treat it as a catch-all. Children's artwork, random magnets from travels, sticky notes reminding you to buy milk, coupons taped on just in case, maybe even old birthday invitations, or bills you meant to pay but haven't. But in Feng Shui, the visual plane is sacred. The eye is the first gateway to energy. What you see repeatedly, you become. And when the face of your refrigerator, the most energetically charged appliance in the room, is covered with paper clutter, outdated reminders, and symbols of tasks not yet completed, it subtly shifts the message from nourishment to stress. The fridge stops saying, "This is where you are supported," and starts saying, "This is where you're overwhelmed." It becomes a place of noise rather than flow. The remedy is not extreme minimalism, but intentional clarity. Remove everything that does not align with the themes of nourishment, vitality, and prosperity. Leave only one or two symbolic items, perhaps a single magnet in the shape of a gold coin, a print of ripe fruit representing harvest, or a word like abundance or grace that evokes the kind of Qi you wish to cultivate. These simple symbols become energetic instructions, signaling not only what matters to you, but also what you're inviting in. Now consider what lies just beneath the surface. The containers you use to hold your food. The inside of your fridge may be regularly stocked, but if it's filled with cracked plastic tubs, warped lids, mismatched Tupperware and leaking bags, the message is one of energetic inconsistency. In Feng Shui, containers represent the capacity to hold, literally and symbolically. A container that is broken or poorly fitted communicates inability to retain, to preserve, to protect. From an energetic standpoint, this is a leak, not of food but of Qi, and leaks weaken not only the physical vibration of the space, but also your psychological sense of control and stability. When everything inside your fridge is thrown together with no visual unity, The qi becomes scattered, chaotic, and compressed. The fix is both aesthetic and energetic. Use matching glass jars, clear containers, and labeled sections to create visual coherence. Transparency allows for visibility, which supports intentionality. Labeling reinforces organization, which reinforces clarity of thought and action. Even just switching from cloudy old plastic to clean glass storage can radically change how you perceive your resources, inside the fridge and in your financial life. You're teaching your space, and by extension your subconscious, that you know how to hold wealth. You're not wasting, you're not improvising in panic. You're storing with intention, access, and order. Finally, we must look at the physical integrity of the refrigerator itself, its mechanical and environmental signals. A fridge with standing water under the drawers, a slow leak beneath the freezer, a thin sheet of ice choking the top shelf, or a gasket that no longer seals properly may seem like small repair issues. But in Feng Shui, each of these issues holds symbolic weight. Leaking water, especially in a cold, yin-dominant environment like a fridge, signifies unconscious wealth loss. The slow drip that goes unaddressed reflects financial drain that is not yet visible but is compounding. It mirrors money that disappears through forgotten subscriptions, unmonitored fees, or repeated patterns of loss. It's not loud, but it's persistent. Left unaddressed, it becomes the energetic equivalent of a hidden wound. Similarly, ice buildup inside the freezer, particularly when thick, white, or uneven, represents frozen energy, momentum that has stopped. It might suggest projects stalled in the planning phase, decisions never followed through, emotional states that haven't thawed, or ideas that remain indefinitely on hold. Freezers should be cold, yes, but not encased in walls of unnecessary frost. That buildup suggests that what you're trying to store is no longer breathing. In Feng Shui terms, it's a warning sign. Your ability to move forward is becoming encased in emotional and psychological inertia. And the gaskets, the rubber seals around your doors, if cracked, hardened, or broken, signal a deeper structural vulnerability. They no longer protect, they leak cold. They represent boundaries that have lost their function. In terms of wealth, this suggests that the energetic container of your finances has a weak seal, meaning your intentions are not being fully contained or preserved. These problems are not metaphors, they are energetic expressions. And the solutions are just as tangible. Start by unplugging and thoroughly cleaning the freezer quarterly, particularly at the change of seasons, when natural energy transitions give extra potency to renewal. Use warm water infused with citrus peel, especially orange or lemon, to cut through the symbolic ice and reawaken vibrancy. Citrus is known in Feng Shui for its bright, expansive yang energy. It uplifts and invigorates. As you clean, focus your attention on release and movement. Imagine that you are clearing old ideas, thawing fear, and making room for new opportunity. For leaks, fix the source. If a seal is broken, repair it. If water collects under drawers, clear the drainage. Don't wait. These fixes are not just about mechanical function. They are energetic declarations that you are ready to stop leaking power. In summary, the design flaws around your fridge, messy exteriors, broken containers, unchecked frost and leaks, are not minor details. They are active signals of how well your home supports or hinders the qi of nourishment, clarity, and financial steadiness. Every item stuck to the outside of the fridge, every cracked plastic tub, every hidden leak is a message. Things here are not being fully held. But when you clean the surface, align the storage, and repair the edges, you do more than make the fridge look good. You reestablish its role as a true vault of sustenance. You remind your home that this is where abundance lives, that this is where energy is received and held with integrity. And once you make that shift, your kitchen stops being just a place to prepare food. It becomes a space that energetically prepares your life for better flow, better finances, and better form. Because in Feng Shui, nothing is too small to matter, and everything, even the ice in your freezer, has something to say about how ready you are to thrive. Feng Shui rituals for fridge abundance, practical steps. In classical Feng Shui, intention is not an abstract concept, it is embedded into form. And the refrigerator, which holds the food that literally becomes your blood, your energy, your life force, must be more than just clean or organized. It must be activated. You cannot expect abundance to flow into a passive space. It must be invited. It must be magnetized. That is why ritual matters, not in the mystical sense of chanting or ceremony, but in the structured, practical sense of design, habit, and energetic signaling. The following refrigerator-focused rituals are not merely about tidiness. They are about establishing an energetic contract with your space, declaring that your kitchen is not just a place of consumption, but a field of nourishment, clarity, and financial alignment. The first and most foundational step is the act of monthly energetic cleansing. Water alone removes physical debris, but in Feng Shui, energetic residue requires purification. By combining warm water with coarse salt, a grounding earth element, with a few drops of orange essential oil, a symbol of wealth, joy, and yang vitality, you create a natural cleanser that resets both physical and energetic stagnation. Salt absorbs negativity and diffuses heavy qi, while orange peel activates brightness, movement, and joy. Clean every shelf, drawer, and rubber seal mindfully. As you wipe, visualize layers of energetic weight dissolving. Expired fear, heaviness, fatigue. This isn't just maintenance, it's release. The optimal times for this ritual are during the new moon, full moon, or the beginning of each season. These transitions in nature amplify your intent, allowing the fridge to align with universal cycles of clearing and renewal. The second ritual involves symbolic placement, specifically inserting a red envelope containing 3 Feng Shui coins into the vegetable drawer. In Chinese metaphysics, red is the color of life force, protection, and vibrational power. It energizes whatever surrounds it. The 3 coins, tied together with red thread or nestled in the envelope, represent heaven, earth, and humanity, a triad that stabilizes the flow of luck and wealth. Placing this envelope in the drawer where your produce lives is strategic. This drawer governs foundational chai, the roots of your home's nourishment. You are telling the space, this is where abundance begins, and it will be protected and multiplied. If you do not have traditional Feng Shui coins, you may substitute with a gold-colored coin or a symbolic object that represents wealth to you personally. The important element is intentional placement. You are anchoring prosperity inside the living ecosystem of your kitchen. Next, infuse the fridge with personal affirmation. Words are structure. In Feng Shui, visible messages shape the subconscious. Write a clear, concise affirmation related to wealth and nourishment, such as "My home receives, holds, and grows abundance," or "Every meal strengthens my fortune." Place this affirmation on a small card and tape it to the inside of your fridge door in a spot that only you can see, perhaps inside the butter compartment or behind a shelf. Each time you open the fridge, your subconscious registers this message. You are imprinting intention directly into your interaction with food. This becomes a daily calibration, not performative, not dramatic, just consistently reinforcing that your space, and by extension your life, is organized around receptivity and growth. Equally important is knowing what not to keep in your refrigerator. Certain items carry heavy or conflicting symbolism that directly disrupt the energetic field of the fridge. Never store medicine in the same space where food is prepared or consumed. Medicine represents depletion, disease, and imbalance. Its energy contradicts the frequency of nourishment and creates confusion within the qi field. If storage is necessary, place medications in a sealed box and store them in a separate cabinet, ideally outside of the kitchen altogether. Broken eggs, similarly, are signs of fragility and uncontained potential. A cracked egg left in the carton signals decay, fragility, and waste. Always discard them immediately. Wilted greens or rotting produce may seem harmless, but they symbolize missed opportunity and stagnation. They broadcast the message, "I have lost connection to freshness." They should be cleared as soon as they begin to decline. The act of letting go is not wasteful, it is space-making. Finally, elevate the frequency of your fridge by introducing a symbol of living qi. A small potted mint plant, a fresh bunch of basil in a glass of water, or even a vibrant green vegetable like bok choy or parsley placed at eye level sends a strong, energetic signal. Vitality lives here. Green is the color of wood energy in the five-element system. Wood represents growth, clarity, and forward movement. When placed where your eyes land first, it imprints your awareness with that message. Life continues. Energy renews. Growth is possible. Do not underestimate this detail. In Feng Shui, where you look is where energy flows. Putting a symbol of life in the place you look most often trains your qi to move toward vitality by default. These rituals may appear simple, but simplicity is not the absence of depth. It is the discipline of clarity. By combining cleansing, symbolic placement, written intention, and visual vitality, you are layering your fridge with structure. Structure that supports wealth, health, and harmony. You are no longer unconsciously reacting to food. You are consciously designing the energy of your nourishment. And when your nourishment becomes intentional, your life follows suit. Because energy does not wait for perfection, it responds to clarity. These rituals are not for show. They are instructions. They train your environment to reflect your values and your goals. They turn a common appliance into a living blueprint for stability. And most importantly, they remind you daily that abundance is not something you hope for. It's something you structure, something you clean, protect, declare, and choose. Every time you open your fridge, you're not just reaching for food. You're reaching for the future you've decided to feed. Make it count, make it fresh, make it aligned. That is the essence of true Feng Shui. Aligning fridge habits with daily flow, key concept. In the energetic worldview of classical Feng Shui, alignment is not something you seek externally. It is something you cultivate through your most ordinary, repeated actions. And when it comes to the refrigerator, a tool we interact with multiple times a day, its role is far more than mechanical. The fridge functions as a point of contact between you and the life force that sustains you. It is not separate from your energy. It is embedded in the architecture of your behavior. How you open it, how you close it, what you choose to store in it, and the attitude with which you engage with it all form part of your energetic command system. The consistency of these actions either tells the qi field around you that you are organized, receptive, and clear, or it tells the field that you are scattered, disconnected, and disordered. In Feng Shui, energy doesn't wait for your intentions. It responds to your rhythm. So when you realign your relationship with the refrigerator, you are not just organizing your food. You are synchronizing your daily life with the principles of intentional flow. Let's begin with the moment of contact, the approach to the fridge. Most people walk to it on autopilot, their hands already reaching for the handle before they've even mentally arrived at the action. They open it quickly, scan the contents, maybe sigh, maybe grab something, maybe forget why they even opened it in the first place. This is the habit of unconscious access. And every time you do it, you signal that you are not present in your relationship with nourishment. In the energetic field, this creates subtle static. The fridge becomes not a sacred container, but a place of thoughtless retrieval. This is why Feng Shui recommends a brief pause before opening. Not as a ritual for ritual's sake, but as a structural recalibration. Place your hand gently on the door. Feel its coolness. Breathe in once, deeply and internally say a phrase like, "Thank you, nourishment," or "I open to receive what sustains me." This moment may take just 3 seconds, but it shifts your energy from default to deliberate. You stop reacting. You begin aligning. You let the qi know. This interaction matters. How you close the fridge matters just as much. A slammed door, even unintentional, is not just a sound, it's a signal. In Feng Shui symbolism, it's akin to cutting off the circulation of abundance. A slammed door interrupts flow, jolts the energetic rhythm, and introduces abruptness into a system that thrives on steadiness. Repeated daily, this becomes a form of energetic dissonance, a gesture that tells your space, "I take what I need and leave chaos behind." To shift this, cultivate the habit of closing the fridge gently and consciously. A smooth, quiet closure says something different. I return this space to balance. You are not just sealing a door. You are sealing the act of receiving with grace. And when you perform this kind of micro-discipline multiple times a day, your chi begins to mirror that grace back into your time management, your interpersonal behavior, your financial decisions, and your physical vitality. There is also the overlooked action of meal preparation. Most people think of cooking as a task, a necessity, something to get through on the way to something else. But in Feng Shui, the act of preparing food is deeply energetic. It's where qi is transferred. Your thoughts, your mood, your level of attention, these all become part of the food's field. When you grab ingredients from the fridge while agitated or distracted, you transfer that disordered energy to the nourishment that will later become your body. But when you open the fridge with calmness, select ingredients with clarity, and prepare them with presence, you're aligning the physical and energetic fields. The body feels it, so does the environment. This is why the practice of cooking with gratitude, that is not a platitude, it is a method. It doesn't require elaborate prayers or lengthy affirmations. It can be as simple as saying, "Thank you for this food," or "May this meal give clarity and strength," while slicing vegetables or boiling rice. Every gesture becomes a transmission. Every repetition becomes a pattern. And over time, the pattern trains your qi to operate within a field of coherence, rhythm, and abundance. This alignment continues with the small, nearly invisible habits. How you place items back into the fridge after use, whether you wipe the jar before returning it, whether you notice what's running low and replenish it intentionally or impulsively. In Feng Shui, clutter is not just a matter of volume, it's a matter of frequency mismatch. An out-of-place item, a leaky lid, a sticky residue on a bottle. These are all micro signals of energetic carelessness. And these micro signals don't go unnoticed. They form a visual and tactile field that either supports or suppresses your internal clarity. When you move within an environment where everything has been handled with care, your own thoughts start to reflect that care. When your fridge has clean, sealed containers, fresh produce, and organized shelves, your mind absorbs that order. And when your mind absorbs order, it begins to act with greater intention. You become more likely to follow through, more capable of decision-making, more resilient to distraction. Even the time of day you interact with the fridge plays a role. Early morning fridge interaction sets the tone for the day's energetic movement. Late night fridge interaction influences the quality of rest and subconscious absorption. Opening the fridge late at night while emotionally unsettled often leads to misalignment, overeating, poor digestion, sleep disturbance. But opening the fridge in the morning with clarity, preparing warm food, hydrating, engaging the digestive system in rhythm with circadian flow, supports not just the body, but the mental field as well. The fridge becomes a point of entry into either chaos or clarity. Your timing, your mood, your respect for rhythm, these shape that direction. And then there is the energetic feedback loop. When you begin to interact with the fridge in a state of presence, it reflects that presence back. You begin to see what's really there. You catch the beginning signs of decay before they take hold. You notice patterns, how long food lasts, what gets used, what gets ignored. This noticing leads to refinement. You begin to shop differently, cook differently, plan differently. You stop wasting. You stop improvising in desperation. You begin acting in foresight. This is when the fridge ceases to be just an appliance. It becomes a tool of energetic discipline. It becomes a container not only of food, but of form. And as you align its function with your intention, your home begins to shift from a place of reaction to a place of creation. In essence, the refrigerator is not merely a cold box. It is a reflection of your deeper relationship with the material world, with the energy of provision, sustainability, and clarity. Every time you engage with it, you have a choice: to act unconsciously and reinforce disorder, or to act with awareness and reinforce harmony. In Feng Shui, the repetition of small intentional acts is what shapes the flow of energy more than any single redesign. You don't need to change everything. You just need to change your habits into rituals. your rituals into structure, and your structure into rhythm. Because when your rhythm is aligned, abundance stops being a chase and starts becoming your default state. And your fridge, humble though it may seem, is one of the first places that rhythm is either built or broken. Choose to build it, choose to align it, choose to treat it as a living space of chi. Because when you do, your home stops holding you back and starts holding you up. Your refrigerator is not just where you store food, it's where your intentions live in physical form. In Feng Shui, we understand that the most powerful transformations begin not with renovation, but with awareness. And awareness starts with the everyday, the places you touch, the objects you open without thinking, the habits so routine they become invisible. But invisible doesn't mean insignificant. Your fridge is one of the most energetically dense spaces in your home. It holds your nourishment, your choices, your routines. And more importantly, it reflects how you hold structure, how you welcome abundance, and how you respect the resources that support your life. When your food is fresh, labeled, and intentionally placed, when every shelf feels calm instead of crowded, you are not just creating a cleaner kitchen. You are sending a message to the chi that surrounds you. I am a good steward of energy. I know how to hold what I receive. I trust that more is coming. But when your fridge is chaotic, neglected, or filled with forgotten pieces of the past, it sends a different message. I am overwhelmed. I am unsure. I am holding on without clarity. And that message ripples. It echoes in your finances, your health, your emotional stability. Feng Shui teaches us that structure shapes destiny, not by chance, but by reflection. The fridge becomes a quiet altar where you practice that principle every single day. So the invitation is simple but profound. Bring presence to the place you've overlooked. Let your fridge stop being a place of default and become a place of design. Shift one drawer, replace one cracked container, discard what no longer holds life. Every small action is an offering to the energy that surrounds you. And when your offering is made with clarity, the return is always multiplied. If this video inspired you to see your kitchen in a new way, I would love to hear from you. What's the first shift you'll make? What surprised you most? Please share your experience in the comments below. And if you haven't already, I warmly invite you to subscribe to New Day Mindfulness. Your support helps me continue crafting grounded, practical Feng Shui content that brings true, lasting alignment into everyday life. With your help, I'm working toward reaching our next goal of 2,000 followers, so we can build a stronger, more intentional community together. Thank you for being here, not just watching, but truly participating in the energy of your life. I'm honored to be part of your journey. Let's continue designing spaces that don't just look better, but feel better, live better, and support who we are becoming. See you in the next video.